All right, guys, here we are for a short little episode talking about how to get yourself out there. Now, what does that actually mean? Back in 2010, when I went to Institute for Integrative Nutrition, we were all told to go and do workshops locally. Now, in
Mhm.
today's world, in today's digital world, we depend too much on these social media platforms to try to get visibility, especially when you're a brand new coach. It's hard to show up. You have so many moving pieces, your business, your website, getting your tax ID, starting a business account, your social media platforms. It just feels so overwhelming. What can lessen that overwhelm is for you to get your tuchus, that means your butt, out there and do these workshops. Imagine having 3 different workshops. So you specialize in your one niche, and then you have your additional workshops, which can dive into how your niche maybe affects your sub niche. You can have those 3 different workshops to go to a local vendor and to pitch to them. When you're pitching to them, make sure that you look at that local vendor and see what they're all about, what their clients need, and even ask them. You can even walk into a local like health spa or a gym or a juice place, a smoothie place, and ask them, what are your ideal clients looking for? Of course, have a conversation first. Ask them what your ideal clients are looking for. Tell them a little about you and how you can benefit them. That's the biggie. Michelle, can you talk about your experience doing offline workshops and how it benefited your business?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And I wasn't really even just like, being younger and in school and such. I was never really one to be excited to get up in front of the whole entire classroom at all, to do any of my presentations. But for some reason, I had a little bit of fire in me, I think, as a health coach. Like I really wanted to change people's lives and share this amazing like information that I learned through IIN. And I was excited to do that. So it kind of, took over some of the fear. But the first thing that I did was I wanted to maximize like other communities, right? So like I would look at, okay, we have Wild by Nature by us, which is like a natural health food store. And it's located, there was 2 locations on Long Island. And so it was great. And they would market for you. So they would allow people to kind of go in there, and they would do the workshop. They'd look into a little bit. You have to show your brochure, your business card. What are you talking about? I needed to know my topics. I was talking on digestive health and detoxing, and they would let you come in. The only like rule that I had was that I couldn't basically sell, like, let's say my own essential oils or something like that, my own brand. It would have to, anything I recommended had to be something that they could buy in the store, which benefited them. So there was like that mutual benefit.
About that visibility for your services.
And I was allowed to hand out my own brochures, and
Yeah.
I was allowed to take emails, on the workshop, sign up sheets at the end and things like that. And then they would put it out to on their public calendar, which also went out in their monthly newsletter for the workshops that were happening that month. And this is a large community of my ideal clients, is how I looked at it. I
Right.
was like, this is great. But then who came was also really impressive to me, because I would have like natural doctors coming, exchanging, just exchanging information. And to me, like your business card, offering referrals, kind of like, how can you guys help each other? And I think that was like so awesome to do. And it didn't like end there. It was like, okay, well, let's check the local gym, and let me get into, back then, I believe we had Lucille Roberts. And I let, they were letting me do things. They all had their own rules.
Right.
But they did have an opportunity at each place. And it was always a place that I looked at with a large audience. I didn't have to work to build. I just had to kind of show up with value, do that exchange, like, okay, let me show up to teach or talk about something. Even the local gym would let me post my flyers like in there, for like the opt-in or even a discounted deal on like a
Yeah.
spring detox, and it just really helped to be able to create more of a local network. And I actually started there before I really did major things online. I had a website, of course, but it wasn't anything great. At first it was the one, just the school gave us all. We all had pretty similar websites in the beginning. So it wasn't really anything that I was doing crazy online. I was really focused on getting in locally, even with like our natural health doctor. It's like, okay, well, I'm coming here. I'm seeing the chiropractor every week. Let me talk to them, and even now, like if I was an active health coach still, Sometimes I think about it. They have rooms now at the wellness center over here that I used to take my kids to for years. And they rent out office space. And so you could go in there and you have your own room, and then they market for you. So there's all these opportunities, like check your local wellness centers, check the health food stores, the mom and pop shops that are like selling vitamins and natural remedies. Those still
There's
exist.
always places,
Yeah.
whenever I go in a health food store, I always see somebody's flyer, their cards, their brochures.
Yes.
They often will have workshops. The
Yeah.
thing that I think about the power of workshops when you're speaking in front of people is definitely find a topic that you can talk with your eyes closed. We have
Mhm.
many different workshops that, of course, for your niche, for your sub niche, for example, like your niche was digestive health. You could have a sub niche of food allergies. You could have a sub niche of detox. You could have a sub niche of even weight loss. How does
Yeah.
weight loss, how is
Yeah.
weight loss affected by digestive health? How are
Mhm.
food allergies affected by digestive health? So when you think about your sub niches, think about sub niche topics that you want to talk about always that are in relation to your niche. You could have workshops on that. And those workshops, of course, you could have it printed out. So it gives you like kind of a format to go through. You can also say to people, hey, I have this workshop in PDF, because any workshop can be converted into a free guide. That
Yeah.
workshop that you go over. So think about those emails that you get from people. That's your opportunity to follow up. And I would not do a mass email. I used to come home from workshops and I would send a personal email to each person. Because say 15 people come to your workshop.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
15,
Yeah.
and it doesn't take a long time. I mean, what does it take you? 15 minutes to have a personal email going out to every person.
Yeah.
That's where you have that VIP interaction. That's where you can promote and say, here, I have this work, I have this program, this 3-month program, or you can actually talk to people after that workshop, have a discovery call sheet, sign up right there. But I want you to think about getting out of your own way. For a lot of people, they're really overwhelmed by the thought of showing up on social media. You could take that same workshop for that person that feels overwhelmed about doing a live, can take that same workshop, get onto Zoom. You don't even need to pay for it, and go through with a screen share of that workshop. Do the little introduction in the beginning where you're showing your face. Do that for about 2 minutes, and then do share screen and go through that workshop and make it a pre-record video that you can have on your website, that you can have on YouTube, really, of course, featuring like a mini masterclass on what you do and why you're so different.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Michelle, for anyone else before we close out? What are some tips for getting your foot in the door?
Yeah, showing up, knowing your topics, know your key talks. I did have a handful of topics that I presented to them, and they were like, okay, you can speak on this one. So it's really important to know that. And then also you can always, when you know your topics, you can even have a series. You don't just have to go in there and do one. You might work on an agreement where you're doing once a month. It's a different topic, things like that. Like they would let me go in there and talk about digestion, talk about detoxing, things like that. So it's really important to know your topics, and also just for like a follow-up with the people who attend your workshop, get their phone number too when you get their email, because you can text them, and call them and just follow up personally, thank them for coming. It's even their mailing address, sending little thank you notes. Like these are just things that we've kind of just forgot, like to do in the online space.
Those are the classy things to do.
And those are the things that people remember, and then it's like, wow, I'm building a relationship with this person. I trust them. I have this health issue. I think I want to hire them, but don't be afraid to go into any of these places and pitch who you are, but do it professionally with business card, brochure. Brochures are still a thing. You can make them like really cool on mood.com,
Well, Moo, or even we have Canva these days.
Yeah, that is 1,000. Yeah. Canva wasn't the way it was many years ago, the way it is today. But definitely take advantage of that and show up confidently, like you're there to make a difference. So you have to do it.
All right, guys, make sure that you have your workshop topics. Don't be scared. Get out of your own way. The only key to doing this is to definitely practice. All right, we'll see you later, guys.